about an hour's time, we have a day in the life of a paramedic. I mean, paramedics at the moment under incredible pressure. And we have new figures, released by the Labour Party, in fact, showing that in the northwest, a patient waited 65 hours, 38 minutes for a response to a Category 3 call-out. And that some patients are being left for more than 2 days for an ambulance. I mean, we heard just now from a mum who said, thank goodness an ambulance came out within minutes when her son took an overdose. I mean, it catches in my heart the thought that you would call out an ambulance and fear that it wouldn't come soon enough for lives to be saved. We're going to find out from this incredible paramedic how many lives she feels are being lost because of delays to the call-out system. And we're just being inundated. Diana, my father was 88, 2019. He fell down in Hexham. He waited 2.5 hours lying on the street in pouring rain. He'd had a quadruple bypass, a defib, and in the January he had a stroke, so he was on blood-thinning tablets. By the time the ambulance decided to come, says Diane, he died. I mean, you know, that our paramedic is going to talk about the attitude towards ambulance crews. That wording, Kevin, decided to come.
Yeah, and we know that some paramedics experience real hostility, which is unforgivable, because they're doing their very best.
It's not them. It's not the handlers. There aren't enough. And I remember when these cases were the exception, and they would happen because a mistake would be made, or there could be extreme momentary pressure on a service. Now they've become commonplace right around the country. And this idea that there could be a real medical disaster, an accident, and you can dial 99 and essentially nothing happens is terrifying for so many people. And lives will be lost.
65 hours.
Clearly.
What sort of emergency is that?
2.5 days.
There is something that's happened to our society as a result of the way in which we treat people with a mental illness. More people living on their own, out in the community, cut back in that support. It means that the police and paramedics have become the front line dealing with people who are...
Police are social workers. They take it more and more.
And that's hugely...
And they're also getting involved in trying to house people, which is not their job. They've got other things to do, like fighting crime.
And, Andrew, may I kind of subtly ask, why do you think this has happened in the last 13 years?
Well, you're going to blame the Tory government.
No, I just wondered, what's happened to our society, which means that we are expecting the police and paramedics to deal with people with mental health issues?
It's a failure of what's happening in the social services system. There's a failure because it should not be the police's job. And I've talked to lots of police officers about it, and it frustrates them enormously.
Is it about funding of those services?
I think there will always be a funding issue, Ed, but I think also it's about prioritisation.
Well,
and I think the police are spending too much time, in my view, doing things they shouldn't be doing. They're doing other things.
They're filling the gap. It is fun.
Who else is going to do it?
No. There's a lot of... There's evidence that's too much of police spending time looking for internet crime.
You can look...
Looking for internet crime. So-called hate crime.
Public services are continually reformed and changed how they operate. And, of course, there will be problems, glitches. There will always be some waste, mismanagement. That's inevitable in any organisation. You always try and drive it out. That will be the case. But the funding has been squeezed from them. And I'll come back to the NHS. It had the tightest financial straitjacket in its history imposed by the Conservative government. And we're reaping the horrors of that now.
Yeah. You know that local authority spending on supporting people with mental health issues has been cut hugely more than NHS spending.
Andrew, I thought you might say it's because the money ran out. 2010.
Certainly did.
The government came in, opened a drawer, found a note.
And
said there was no money left.
He did say that, the Chief Secretary of Treasury, with an apology to his successor. They'd spent a lot.
It was a bad joke by him. I wish we could go to the level of national debt inherited from the Labour government because it was a lot lower than what it is now.
And
the last Chief Secretary of the Treasury, Labour, said, sorry, we've spent all the money.
And then the Conservative government brought in, of course, austerity. And that's
to balance the books.
And that's when I think a lot of people felt like they were squeezed until the pips squeaked.
Public services were better